Welcome. I'm your host, Elizabeth DeRazio, and I'm here at the International Nativity exhibit at the Salette Shrine in Enfield, which you can visit year-round to see the celebration of Christmas from all around the world. Right now, I'm joined from one of the interpreters, one of the guides at the Enfield Shaker Village. I'm joined by Joe Fraizer, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the history of this valley from the Shaker point of view. So I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So the Shakers arrive in Chosen Vale. It wasn't called Chosen Vale at that time, but they were actually residing on the other side of the lake and decided that they would move to the side of the lake, right? And by the time they were done, they had acquired enough property that they had 3,000 contiguous acres here.
Oh my goodness.
They controlled pretty much the economy of the area and had, of course, established the village, which consisted of 3 different Shaker families. And of course, went ahead and grew their religion.
Mm-hmm. What year was this?
Well, it all began in 1793 here in Enfield, and that there were actually, as I mentioned, 3 different Shaker families. So the first Shaker family is up where the museum is located today at the Great Stone Dwelling, and that was 1793. A year later, they formed the South family, which is very little of that left today, only 2 buildings. But that was 1794. And then finally, they had enough inquiries, people who were interested in becoming Shakers, that they needed to form a novitiate order, a gathering order, and that became the Salette Shrine in the end, but that was called the North family for the Shakers. And so the Salette Shrine is actually part of the Shaker village.
Oh, wow. So there's a connection here. This has always been a peaceful valley.
Yes, it has.
It has always drawn people of peace here, which is quite amazing.
That's correct.
Now, when we visit the acreage there, it can be pretty daunting. There's a lot to see.
There is.
How would you take us around and maybe tell us some of the key features that catch your attention?
Well, your visit will begin at and in the Great Stone Dwelling. Now, the Great Stone Dwelling is actually the home for the Shaker church family, okay? And it is a 6-story building, a very amazing building, the largest building north of Boston at the time.
Oh, wow.
Really very famous in its era. It also contains a meeting room in which the Shakers met. Only Shakers could have gone into that room. So today we get to visit something we never would have been allowed into. In addition to that, some of the other prominent buildings that are still on site is that we have a complex of buildings where the women worked, and another complex across the street where it's a mill building where the men worked, and much of the furniture and woodworking was fabricated in that area. And we still have our 1854 barn, which actually the museum doesn't own that, but it's still on site. So you can see all of those things. And also, of course, we still have the Mary Keene Chapel, which is was a Catholic chapel, but no longer is. It's been deconsecrated. But Mary Keene's home is over there. It's a private dwelling now, but something else that you can view from the outside. And we also have some additional buildings that are on the property that you can view as you go on your self-guided tour. Plus gardens.
Which are beautiful.
Yeah, we have 2 sets of gardens. One is a demonstration garden for the museum, but we also have community gardens where other people can grow their own produce, considered to be one of the finest gardens in New Hampshire, I would say.
It is a very lovely area, and I think what makes it sort of amazing is throughout the year you help expose us to the Shaker tradition.
We do.
No matter what the season. So in winter you have your snowshoeing and your holiday festivals, but then when you go into spring there's the gardens and other events that we can see. What do you think it is about the Shaker lifestyle that was so attracted to this place?
Well, to this specific place, there were some great revivals that occurred, religious revivals. And as I mentioned earlier, their families across the lake were interested in expanding their religion. So they traveled to the New York-Massachusetts border, attended a revival, and then they came back, and they actually initiated the construction of the village. Mount Lebanon, New York was the lead Shaker church at the time. And they, of course, saw to the oversight of the Shaker village here. We're part of something called the New Hampshire Bishopric, which was comprised of Enfield, New Hampshire and Canterbury, New Hampshire. It's a way that the lead Shaker church oversaw the other Shaker communities. The Shakers here, as I had mentioned, expanded dramatically. Their business enterprises expanded from the little Enfield area to all of New England, New York, heading out towards Ohio. They actually had such a large sales territory, they had to sign contracts with the other Shaker communities just to keep from bumping into each other.
And it all started here.
That's right, yep, with the
So,
Enfield Shakers.
You definitely have to come and check out the Enfield Shaker Village, whether winter, spring, summer, or fall, and meet up with one of the interpreters, like Joe, who will take you around to have the true Shaker experience.